I'd like to apologize for the delay, and we are starting our meeting now. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6 PL 1975, C-231 S1 amended 2006, C-70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the New Coaster on January 8, 2021 via email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the Administration Buildings Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Buildings, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 8, 2021. The mission statement of the Asbury Park Board of the Asbury Park School District is to provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Roll call, please, Mr. Hastings.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Alves-Anderson? Ms. Breach? Here. Ms. Cook? Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca? Mr. Remy? Here. Mr. Saunders? Here. Ms. Lozinski?
Here.
Ms. Etienne?
I am here. Okay, can we stand for the flag salute, please? Do we have any presentations tonight?
Yes, we do, Madam President. First and foremost, at our last board meeting, I mentioned an essay contest as well as an email that I received from the superintendent in Brielle. Just by way of context, there was an essay contest conducted by a member, a store owner in our community on Cookman Avenue. Her friend passed away, her childhood friend passed away. She wanted to remember her childhood friend, and she wanted to partner with, as a business owner, the Asbury Park School District to recognize her childhood friend's passing. She wanted an essay contest or picture for students in the Asbury Park School District, and the elementary school that was selected was Bradley Elementary School. It was a very short turnaround time. I want to acknowledge Mrs. Jackson Byers for not only answering the call to coordinate these efforts, but also she expanded it throughout the entire grade level, where all of the first grade students were able to participate. It was as a result of the entire grade level's participation and Mrs. Byers' coordination that all of the students compiled a booklet. This booklet was then shared with the superintendent in Brielle. I, to this day, get goosebumps when I think about her comment to me. And she said, "Sancha, there is no way when I saw this book and I put it against the students in my district that I would have known the difference in terms of the quality of the writing, the penmanship, the illustrations of those students compared to Brielle students." It was the most refreshing email that I ever had, and I want to make sure that those staff members that were directly responsible for those submissions and their participation was recognized. I read two names in the board meeting last month. The two individuals that I mentioned in the board meeting last month were Ms. Corinne Bobick and Ms. Jocelyn Costanza. After having had further conversation with Mrs. Jackson Byers, I became aware that Ms. Lynn Johnson and Mr. Joseph Mancino were extremely instrumental in the compilation of this book and that work. Tonight, we want to recognize all of those individuals, including Mrs. Jackson Byers, for exemplary leadership at very short notice and then going the extra mile It was that work and that effort that is tied to what we call heart work, as well as performance, passion, and purpose. It's also indicative of the work that we've been engaged in the Asbury Park School District in terms of our literacy initiative. This was, again, wonderful to hear, and I want to share it with the actual boots on the ground who make this work happen on a daily basis. So many thanks to all of the teachers, but tonight I want to specifically acknowledge those teachers that I've mentioned. So, Madam President, if you would join me, we have certificates and medals of honor to just highlight the exemplary work of those individuals. Madam Vice President, would you join us? And our chairperson for curriculum and instruction. Well, I have Mrs. Lynn Johnson already here. Wonderful. Let me give you the medals. Oh, you're the only one? Okay, so Ms. Lynn Johnson is the only one. We have a lot going on. This is our first in-person board meeting. I thought it was more so fitting and appropriate to acknowledge them in person at our first meeting. And so we're going to just ask that you receive the certificates on behalf of your colleagues at Bradley Elementary School. All right, we could take a group picture. Again, thank you, Team Bradley, for your above and beyond hard work. Okay. So that concludes my presentation. Next is my report. The data dashboard is included for your review. It highlights our district enrollment. The other thing I want to mention and highlight is the great work from our special education department. I want to thank Clem Bramley, Ms. Middleton, and the entire special education department for your leadership and for the great work in the form of an acknowledgement that I received from the Department of Education. Specifically, it relates to the Disproportionate Representation Compliance Monitoring Report. Disproportionality in monitoring was an issue in our district in that there was an overrepresentation of racial and ethnic groups in special education. The letter I received states that after a review of the district's compliance with federal special education requirements regarding significant disproportionality and disproportionate representation of racial ethnic groups in special education was conducted by the New Jersey Office of Special Education Policy and Dispute Resolution. The district demonstrated 100% compliance with the compliance requirements reviewed. The 100% compliance is, again, a reflection of the leadership of our special education department, as well as our special education team, the actual boots on the ground, not just only the central office oversight, but those individuals that are working in child study teams, on child study teams, related services, as well as our classroom teachers. And I want the record to reflect they are to be commended for their work, because this is not something that happens by happenstance. It is the collective effort of many individuals. The next item I want to acknowledge is for May 13th. On May 13th, we had an opportunity, and it was very closed, so due to COVID, very strict COVID regulations at Brookdale Community College. The president was very judicious in how many people were allowed to attend, and as a school district, we wanted to ensure that our families would be able to be present and as many family members as possible could attend. So I want it to reflect that on May 13th, 2021, 16 Asbury Park High School students graduated with an associate's degree in social sciences before obtaining their high school diploma. Again, this represents hard work. It represents the collective effort of not only the high school teachers, because we understand that students could not achieve at these high levels just from high school. It represents the collective effort of all of the teachers that have touched and impacted those 16 students' lives. And it's a commitment to performance, passion, and purpose. And I wanted to take the time to draw the board's attention to that and to publicly acknowledge those educators for their continued commitment. And lastly, the Asbury Park High School graduation will be June 22nd at 5:30 p.m. and the awards banquet will also be the day before, June 21st at 5:30 p.m. A more formal invitation will follow, but please consider this as a save the date. Madam President, that completes my report.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Dr. Howard, would you like to do your report on the HIB?
Good evening, everyone. So we had for the month of April through from the last the last board meeting up until yesterday, we had a three incidents at the high school, and one of them was not founded and the other two were founded. And those students did receive counseling, the two that were founded. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions at this point? Okay, now we are to the public participation part of our meeting. Please make your way to the microphone. If you have a comment or a question, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. Thank you.
Napolitani, 8 Old Weathersfield Road, Ocean Township. I'm the president of the Asbury Park Education Association. I want to thank the business administrator and the board for placing number 10, letter C, from the business services section of the agenda for the approval of the APEA-APBOE negotiated agreement. The association members who voted overwhelmingly ratified the contract, 202 yes to 6 no votes. This was a very long process, which I feel did not get overly contentious, just disagreements in what would settle the contract. I thank Chairwoman Lazinski and the rest of her team for negotiating with us and coming up with a fair agreement for both sides. I also want to thank my team for their hard work, and we should all be congratulated for settling a 5-year contract. This is the first time in years, ever that I can remember, that we've had a 5-year contract, which brings us labor management, peace of mind, and stable increase for the staff that's agreeable to both sides. Although no side is ever truly ecstatic about the finished product, I believe both sides did well for the staff and the community. Thank you again. Next, you're going to receive an envelope with survey results that were conducted by the association with information in regard to who the staff would think would be a good person as the next superintendent for the school district. 216 staff members took the survey. That's more than actually voted on the contract. I simply ask that you look at the information, review the graphs and the comments, as we are the second largest stakeholder in the city of Asbury Park, right behind the community and the parents. We understand and we also know that we don't choose the superintendent. However, we ask that when you review this information, And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, that you reach out to myself or any executive committee member. And for the record, this is from the staff who spend day in and day out in the school system, in the buildings each day. There's a cover letter there as well with information. Once again, if you have any questions or comments, please contact one of us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Demetra Peterson. I currently serve as a fiscal specialist in the early childhood department. For the record, I am a dues-paying member of the union, and I am strongly opposed to the ratified contract due to the following. The ratified contract lacks equipoise for my maximum level status as a specialist and has historically for the past 2 contract cycles. The negotiation process failed to include representation from the spectrum of positions it purports to represent. Also, and more importantly, cynicism and deflection permeated the responses of the union president when I sought comprehension, resolution, and when I inquired about the details of the process in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Mr. Hastings, do we have any phone calls or emails in addition to what we had before?
There are no additional emails other than the 2 we read at the earlier meeting. Mr. Brannigan, are you seeing any comments or raised hands on our WebEx? No responses.
At this time, I would like to close the public participation portion of our meeting.
8:03.
Madam State Monitor, do you have a report?
No additional information other than what we did in the workshop.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to ask for acceptance of the minutes.
Could I have a motion for all A1, 11A through F?
Move it.
Second.
Any questions? Comments? Okay.
Mr. Grillo?
Yep.
Ms. Lozinski? Ms. Abez Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Breach? Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders? Ms. Etienne?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Madam Superintendent, would you like to ask for a consent agenda?
Yes, I would. Good evening, board members, Madam President. I am requesting, and members of the board, I am requesting a consent agenda for items, all items on B1, inclusive of the addenda on B14.
Make a motion.
Second. Do we mention that those 3 items would be removed from the?
I would like for the record to reflect, while I'm requesting a consent agenda, items at the request of the board for, on B7, items L, M, and N will be removed.
Thank you. So we need a motion for all items excluding L, M, and N.
Move.
Second.
May I just make a comment? Madam President? It was, just so you know, those 3 items will be sent through committee and then on next month's agenda. It's not they're being eliminated totally. They will be returning to next month's agenda, going through committee.
All righty, Mr. Hastings.
Thank you. Ms. Etienne? Thank you. Mr. Grillo?
Yes on all items, abstaining on B1E, B2H, B4D, B1225, B1330, and B1333.
Ms. Alves Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Breach? Thank you. Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders? Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
All items carry.
Mr. Hastings, would you
May
like to
I-
ask for consideration?
Madam President, I just wanted to ask, was we supposed to add the job description of that title? We were going to do that today, or add it to the agenda or not?
I believe that item was on the agenda. The members have received the description.
She's asking if the description should be added to the
Should the
agenda.
description be added, or can we add that so we can get that out of the way?
Yes, what you received is going to be a part of the attachment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hastings, would you like to ask for consent agenda, please?
Yes, Madam President. Could I have a motion for all items C1, number 1 through C5, 11?
Move it.
Second.
I have a,
Any questions or comments at this time?
I do have a question. C4 number 11A and B. This gentleman, it's a business for him. He's not a nonprofit, and he's asking for a waiver for facilities.
Yes, so you're referring to the soccer program with all 3 points?
That's correct.
All right, so he has not indicated whether he's a nonprofit or not. You can see his letter attached, C11B as the attachment. He's looking for a soccer program for youth kids from ages 3 to 11. I believe it was once a week.
Yes, on a Friday. And it
Right.
started, he requested yesterday. Was he on the field yesterday?
I do not believe so, no.
And they're local children, right? Our kids?
Yes.
I had one other question on 11C. He's requesting rooms in Obama. Is that school, there's no one in that school right now. Are we allowing people to use that building? I would imagine it would need some cleanup and work before even that would occur.
Yeah, so the application from the sanctuary and Jay is asking for both outside and inside use. I believe they've expressed that the services would actually be conducted outside. The building is being maintained regularly, so there isn't any concern really with bathrooms or classrooms that are in disrepair or disarray.
And they want us to waive the janitorial, because that's an overtime day for janitors, isn't it? It's a Sunday, and according to our facilities use policy, I know that we've gone through this before, that Sundays, we're not supposed to have anybody use them, so that means that we have no janitorial custodian available, is that correct?
Yes, so as noted in the resolution, custodial fees of $1,620 and the room rental or area fees of $1,200. So he's looking for the waiver of $2,820.
Can we have him pay at least the janitorial fees, the custodial fees? Because we have to bring somebody in an overtime for that, don't we?
That's at the board's pleasure. If the resolution as it reads now is to waive the entirety of the fees, if the board is not inclined to approve that full waiver, then If they're suggesting labor costs paid and room fees waived, we can approach that group and let them know.
Prior discussion has been that if we incur real fees, that is, that if we're bringing people in specifically for that event, that group absorbs that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I agree, that's what we've been doing. Whoever made the motion, can we amend it to waive the, well, I guess it would be the room fee?
No, you'd have to first withdraw the motion,
I withdraw the
whoever made it,
motion.
and then you can make a new motion, fresh and clean.
I withdraw.
So
Okay,
can I have a new motion for the acceptance of the agenda
I'll make,
excluding the custodial fees?
I'll make a motion to accept the business administrator's agenda.
Sorry, could you clarify, we're not excluding the custodial fees you're talking about, or, well, you're talking about waiving the room fees. We're excluding the custodial from the waiver.
Excluding the custodials from being waived.
Yes, thank you.
I'll make the motion to accept the business administrator's agenda in its entirety, except with C411C, that the waiver is for room fees only.
I'll second that.
Any discussion or questions? Stacy?
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes, and on the bills, abstain from New Jersey Natural Gas, New Jersey American Water, JCP&L, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Verizon Wireless.
Thank you. Sabas Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Breach? Ms. Cook?
Yes, abstain from C5, letter C. C4, letter C.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders? Yes. Ms. Etienne?
Yes, but I must abstain from C4, item 10.
Thank you. All motions carried.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Move it.
Second.
Anybody want to stay?
May I say something, please? I'd like to take this time to all of the community members that came out, wishing you all a very happy, safe Memorial holiday. Good night, everybody.
Good.